Utah Jazz lose a tough one on a last-second shot to the Chicago. I can't talk today. To the Chicago Bulls. Let's talk about this Hoop Nerd Show. All right, guys, let's give a shout out to our sponsor, Price Picks, before we get started. What a terrible start to this show. Anyways, use promo code HoopsNerd to go get up to $100 match. If you have not used Price Picks before, if you go sign up, use promo code HoopsNerd, they will give you up to $100 match. So if you go and do the over on 2 or 3 players, you put down $5, they give you $5. It's easy money. It's free. So go do it. And it supports the channel. I would appreciate it. It's a lot of fun, too. All right, brutal loss for the Utah Jazz. Absolutely terrible. Sorry, guys, I did not do the last show just because it was my daughter's birthday. She also had a choir concert that she was doing, so we did not have a show. And it was, you know what? It is what it is. I watched that game yesterday and then obviously watched this one tonight. This one was a lot more fun in some ways, although last game was fun. Jordan Clarkson showed out in a big-time way. Brice Sensabaugh got his start tonight, and it was pretty impressive. I think the Jazz have basically found out with what they're doing these last, 10 to 15 games, whatever it is, post-trade deadline. I can't even remember. Who even knows? We're in the twilight zone right now as Jazz fans. What's today? What's tomorrow? Who's playing? Who's not? But anyways, one thing they are finding out is all 3 rookies are rotation players or better. And, Keontae George has shown star potential. Taylor Hendricks has shown some potential to be a big-time defensive player who can shoot the ball. And tonight we just saw that Brice Sensabaugh belongs in the NBA. Look at these numbers. 15 points, 12 rebounds. He goes 5 for 8 from the field, 2 for 4 from 3. I know it says 1 turnover, but he had 2 or 3 plays that gave the... I never understand why and who gets the turnover for what, because sometimes, tonight I am surprised it only says 1. I felt like he probably had 2 to 3 plays where he kind of lost the ball. And I don't know. But anyways, sorry. It keeps happening to me on these lives. I don't know why. Anyways, 1 turnover for him. And there were a few times where, a few little lapses here and there, which happens with rookies. Overall, really impressed with Brice Sensabaugh and what he's doing. His ability to shoot the ball, especially on those catch-and-shoot threes. He is looking like a knockdown three-point shooter, which is great to see, and he's just a rookie. So he's only going to get better from here on out, or at least much more consistent. And then the thing that's exciting is he goes 5 for 8 from the field. And this is with some defenders on the Bulls that are not bad. Caruso's out there. What's his name? Javon Carter's out there doing good work. So this isn't the easiest matchup ever. So Brice Sensabaugh also puts the ball on the floor, scores it inside and things like that. He's just a flat-out shooter, and so he's only going to get better. But the thing that might be the most impressive with him, in the Jazz lose and he's a +1 in this game for a rookie, pretty impressive, is I really like the defense that he brings. His defense looks pretty solid every time. He looks like a pretty good keep your guy in front of you type player. He moves his feet pretty well. And so if he has that effort and he can show that and then do these things offensively, you've got yourself a player here. At worst, he looks like a nice 6th man type, and who knows, maybe he develops even more. When you're shooting 50% from 3, you find your way onto the floor. Absolutely. And 5 for 8 from the field. Absolutely. And then you've got these 3 free throws he takes. So, honestly, for his first start, you could not ask for a better night. The other player... Let's see. By the way, I just wanted to mention, the Jazz really, in some ways, could have won this game if they could have found a way to stop Kobe White. This is, in some ways, on Colin Sexton with his defense. Some of it... There was one play near in the 4th quarter, I think, where he just kind of left Kobe White open. And when he's shooting 7 for 11 from 3, that is just... You can't do it. You can't do it. So, kind of a brutal loss for the Jazz because really they probably should have won. 6 assists, 6 rebounds for Kobe White. He was phenomenal tonight, but mostly just from his 3-point shooting. He was He was, oh, thank heaven, 7-11 tonight. Holy, 7 for 11. Pretty freaking good. Luka Samanic showed some things tonight. I just, he has nice size. He really is big. He can shoot the three. He spreads the floor. He uses his size pretty decently, but he's just not super laterally quick. He's kind of mechanical in how he moves, but he does do a few things pretty well. But you can see Will Hardy only gave him about 20 minutes. Not even quite that. This is driving me crazy. 3 for 9 from the field, 1 for 4 from 3. You could tell at the start of the game, I mean, it was an interesting starting lineup for the Bulls. They played 4 guards and a center. And you could tell the Jazz saw that and really emphasized using their size because the Jazz had better size tonight. And Samanic couldn't take advantage. Like 2 of the first 3 or 4 possessions for Utah, they had Samanic. He went right at whoever was guarding him. I can't remember. And he got to the rim pretty easily, but then he couldn't put the ball in, And those are the types of plays. If you're an NBA player, you just put those in every time. Sensabaugh got those like 2 mid-range shots and he just knocked them down. And we didn't see that from Luka Samanic. So it's very mechanical. I don't know if he's going to be on the team next year. Likely not, but you never know. We don't even really know what's going to happen next year. Everything is possible next year. But Samanic had some moments. He did hit that 1-3. I think he played pretty decent defense. Not the best, but pretty decent. And so that's that with Luka at home. John Collins, by the way, anyone who says Luka at home, that was me. That was my nickname. Patent Hoops Nerd nickname. And why is he called Luka at home? Because for everyone who wants the Jazz to trade for Luka Doncic, the Jazz are just saying, well, we have Luka at home. Like when you want to go get that McDonald's and you tell your mom, oh, Mom, can we get McDonald's? And your mom tells you we have food at home. That's why he's Luka at home. If you want Luka Doncic, well, sorry, we have Luka at home. John Collins. Awesome night tonight for John Collins. It is too bad the 3 ball wasn't really falling at a high clip because that would have made the difference. But outside of the 3 ball, he played really well tonight. Man, guys, I'm sorry. I'm so tired. I'm sorry. They keep hitting me. 25 points, 13 rebounds, 2 block shots. He was pretty monstrous tonight. It is a bummer because just one of these threes falling changes the outlook of this game. But that was kind of the name of this game. The Jazz didn't hit their threes and the Bulls did, and the Bulls won because the Jazz really in a lot of ways outplayed them. It's just the 3 ball really is the truth in this league. And if you are not knocking that 3 ball down, it is hard to win these games. You've just got to knock those down. So it's too bad that didn't fall. But outside of the 3 ball, he was awesome. He is such a physical player. I loved the fight he showed at the end of the game with the Bulls bench. It was great. I just love everything about John Collins. There's some flaws there. He's not super laterally quick. He's only 6'9". 6'9's big, but when you're playing center, that's a little undersized. But overall, it's really hard not to love John Collins and what he brings. His attitude, his toughness. He wouldn't take it from that stupid mouth breather Fleming coach, whatever his name was. Like, what a loser, by the way. For that coach to get in a player's face. Are you some kind of dumb idiot moron? Like, what kind of loser coach gets in, especially an assistant, gets into it with a player? Shut up. Like, honestly, if you're an assistant coach getting into it with a player, you are an idiot. Truly stupid. That coach, honestly, I mean, he ain't going any farther in the league after something like that. That is Bozo the Clown stuff. What are you doing, you mouth breather, you loser? Whatever his name is, he's a bum. Absolute bum. So anyways, John Collins stands up to him, stands up to, what was his name that also got in that altercation? Like Torrey Craig. Can you sit down, Torrey Craig? Honestly, getting into it and you're not even suited up, go sit down. Be quiet. So really tough stuff from John Collins. I've loved the John Collins experience. Obviously, there's some flaws there. Is he the rim protector that Walker Kessler is? No, but I actually don't think it's, considering everything else he brings with the spread floor, with the toughness, the impressive rebounding. I mean, 13 rebounds tonight is big time, along with Brice Sensabaugh, 12. I mean, that's pretty awesome. The fact he's actually better rim protector than you think if you go look at cleaning the glass, like 75th percentile. Not the best. He's not like 99th percentile like Rudy Gobert, obviously, but 75th percentile is pretty good. Pretty good. Better than you'd think, right? For John Collins, 6'9" John Collins. I mean, pretty decent. So really nice to see. And then the fact that he spreads the floor. He's also had an incredible attitude this year with a team that's been in flux basically all season. And he's been great, shown leadership, great locker room. He's great on the bench. Like, I just love John Collins, and I appreciate John Collins. And I think, honestly, a lot of flack to John Collins this season when he didn't really deserve it, to be honest. There's a lot of numbers people out there, and they do a great job, and I really appreciate it. But I do think sometimes when you're looking at advanced stats and plus minus and all this type of stuff, you got to take things into context. Those first 12 games for Utah, they were horrible. Remember, they were so bad that Will Hardy was so frustrated that he literally started Omer Yurtseven, and put John Collins on the bench. I mean, the Jazz were terrible to start the year. And so it's just nice to see that John Collins, through all of that, has just had a great attitude and played great. Colin Sexton, it was a good game from Colin Sexton. He had a few mistakes that were pretty costly. We already talked about the one, probably one or two on guarding Kobe White defensively. I mean, that 3-point shot, you cannot let their 3-point shooters do that. And, there was a few times where he did. Outside of that, he played a really great game. 7 for 17 from the field, 41%. I mean, obviously, you'd hope for that to be a little better. He missed the three that mattered most, but he shot 45% from three. You can't argue with that. Hoops Nerd is 9-0 for 35-plus minute videos when he yawns and says he is tired since tracking air. I'm sorry, guys. I don't know why. It's weird. Sometimes they just hit me. You ever get like a sneeze attack or a hiccups or something? I get like these yawn attacks. And now that I said the word, you can bet it's going to happen again. It's weird. I don't get it. I think it's related to me going and getting a Twisted Sugar. By the way, Mountain Dew Zero. I'm trying not to drink too much caffeine. I just love them though, man. You go to Twisted Sugar. The best one out there actually is, does anyone go to Sodalicious? By the way, it's not Utah if you don't have like 10 soda shops. But Sodalicious, the pool boy, oh mama. Get me a diet pool boy from, and that's Diet Mountain Dew with cheesecake flavoring, lime, and like coconut or something. And oh mama. Oh mama. It is like drinking a lemon meringue pie or like a key lime pie. It is. Just tell him the Hoops Nerd sent you. Go to Sodalicious. Try out the pool boy. You will not regret it. And then if you're going to Twisted Sugar, by the way, underrated Twisted Sugar with their drinks. Go get yourself a diet rock and roll. Basically anything with cream and then a fruit flavor. Oh, mama. Oh, mama. That's They bring a lot of happiness into my life, those drinks. But then they give me the yawns late at night, I guess, because they wear off. Anyways, Colin Sexton, nice night. Overall efficient stuff. But, man, just the Jazz needed someone tonight to really dominate. And I guess Colin Sexton was the closest thing. But there was a few brutal mistakes defensively for him that honestly kind of cost the Jazz. But his play was good enough offensively, and he did so many different things that it makes up for it. 7 assists is big time, and 24 points on nice efficiency. Great to see. Chris Dunn, awesome night as well. I mean, you sometimes see the warts there with him a little bit, but overall, he played great. I loved that he went in and played DeMar DeRozan at the end of the game. Got some stops because that's their go-to, is having DeMar DeRozan go and get buckets at the end of the game, because he can just play isolation, and he's really great at drawing fouls, and he knocks down that mid-range shot, and it's a tough cover. And Chris Dunn went in and played really great. 5 for 6 from the field, and a lot of those were those floaters, and he hit that big-time three that nearly helped this Jazz team win the game. 5 assists, just awesome night from Chris Dunn. You all know how much I love Chris Dunn. I love Chris Dunn a lot. And anyone who doesn't love Chris Dunn, I don't know if you love cool things. I don't know if you love Pool Boys from So Delicious or Rock and Rolls from Twisted Sugar. Like, do you like warm chocolate chip cookies on a cold winter night with a glass of hot cocoa, and your favorite movie that you haven't seen yet just came out on video? Like Blade Runner just came out on Hulu. And you know what? Cold winter night, warm chocolate chip cookies. I'm not worrying about my weight that night, and I'm drinking hot cocoa, cookies. I'm watching Blade Runner. I'm a happy boy. I'm a happy boy. And if you don't like stuff like that, then you don't like Chris Dunn, okay? Okay? Jordan Clarkson, another tough night shooting the ball. I mean, it kind of brutal. He hit some big-time shots, but, man, 5 for 17 from the field is brutal. Brutal. We really missed Keontae George in this one. That's the thing that's pretty exciting to think about, is if Keontae George plays this game, Utah probably wins. Probably wins this game, This is the siren song, the last season, the last dance of Jordan Clarkson on the Utah Jazz, most likely. And so I hope everyone's enjoying him. Last game, it was Jordan Clarkson that really helped them beat the Wizards. And tonight, in some ways, it's Jordan Clarkson giveth and Jordan Clarkson taketh away. 29% from the field is just difficult to overcome. And so, I love Jordan Clarkson and everything he's been for the Jazz, but man, sometimes it's pretty tough to overcome this type of shooting. You look at the Bulls. Did anyone have that bad? I guess Dosunmu had a bad night, so I guess it evens out a little bit. But overall, their shooting from pretty much everyone was good. And Dosunmu only took 11 shots. You have Clarkson taking 17. Pretty tough to overcome. So brutal. You know what? Dre, my man, I think this, the shooting wasn't great either. 2 for 8. So I guess I agree to some extent, but I actually felt like it was a pretty decent night from Taylor Horton Tucker. Although it's interesting, the numbers say -10 there. I would like to see Jason Preston get some run. By the way, I was watching him. There was one point, this was just like me looking at the bench. By the way, this is one thing I want the NBA and the Jazz to do. Ryan Smith, I don't know if you watched this show. You liked that tweet one time. Ryan Smith liked my tweet about getting 10,000 subscribers. So, maybe this is my little Hail Mary, my little request to Ryan Smith, besides letting me do some radio stuff for the Jazz. Okay? Let me go on the radio. It'll be good. Okay? It'll be good. Believe me. You put me in the game, coach, I'm going to knock it down like Brice Sensabaugh. I'm not kidding. Put me in the game. Watch me rock. But anyways, Taylor Horton Tucker, who was I talking about? Oh, Micah Potter. So one thing I was watching, and this is something I would mention if I was on the broadcast, but one thing I look at, and I make sure to watch with these players, especially the young ones, Brice Sensabaugh has nice size. Very nice size. Height, girth, length, very good. Very good. Impressive, one might say. But guess what? I was looking at the size of Brice Sensabaugh, and it was pretty similar to Jason Preston. They looked like the same height. Woo. Anyways, it makes me want to go here. Let's see if my eyes deceive me. If there was a camera angle. 6'3", so maybe he's not quite as tall. I don't know. He has been playing exceptionally well for the Salt Lake City Stars. He has multiple triple-doubles. He's shooting his threes, I believe, around 40%. The guy can play in the G League. The question is, can he play in varsity? He's doing it in junior varsity. What happens when you put him in with varsity? And I don't know, but I think we're going to find out at some point here soon. It would be fun to see, I certainly wouldn't mind. I guess, Taylor Horton Tucker brings length and size, but I don't know. I mean, you just see these numbers, 2 for 5. He did hit 2 for 5 from 3, which is nice. He missed every single 2-point shot he took, I guess. But he did have 5 assists, and I did feel like his defense was pretty good, even though the plus minus would say otherwise. I guess my eyes deceive me. Sometimes with THT, I don't know, man. It really is so chaos. And we've talked about this before. I mean, if I was giving a nickname to THT, it would just be chaos. It is pure chaos. Sometimes great things happen. Sometimes horrible things happen. You know, I it's like playing baseball. Sometimes you're going to hit the ball and sometimes you're going to get hit by the pitch. And that's what it feels like every single time with Taylor Horton Tucker. It's either like something great happens and then something horrible happens. And you're just, I don't know. It's really, I don't know. After all this time with THT, I'm pretty sure I don't really want to see a future with him on the Jazz, but I wouldn't be surprised if he goes to another team and he has a nice career or like figures it out. But I kind of feel like after this much time, you kind of have an idea of what he is, and it's chaotic. It's just chaos. And so, you know what? Can we give Jason Preston some run? I wouldn't mind. I would like to see it. I just want to see it. And if it's bad, then it's bad. You know? But what if it's not? And maybe that's the thing. Maybe Jason Preston is so good they don't want to win games. I'm just kidding. I just want to see what it looks like. I just want to see. He's 24. That's interesting. He's 24. I want to see it. Let's see. Last time he got some minutes, he played 37. He had 12 points. He was 50% from the field. Missed all his threes, but he had 8 assists for the LA Clippers at Cleveland. This was January 29th, 2023. I mean, look at that. 8 assists. I have no context for this game whatsoever. Who played? But I'm going to take it as gospel that, you know what, he can pass the ball. I mean, honestly, you don't just get 8 assists out of nowhere. I don't know. I would like to see it. We know he can pass the ball from the G League, what he's doing there for the Stars. The Jazz traded for him for the Stars, and he looks pretty great. So I just would like to see. And I believe he's got the 2-way contract, so they can play him whenever they want. Johnny Juzang got some minutes. It's too bad he couldn't hit a 3. He had that one cut, and he had that 1-3. Couldn't knock it down. Juzang's been with the Jazz for, I mean, how many years now? Is it at least 2 years? It feels like maybe more, but it might just be 2 seasons. Yep, just 2. I guess he's going from 16% to 23, but man, they needed him to make one of those tonight. You know, those are the type of shots that can really change a player, and knocking those 3 downs. And that's those 3 down. And that's why Brice Sensabaugh, you should appreciate what he did tonight. It's not something everyone can just do. Just ask Johnny Juzang. 0 for 3 from 3. Not easy to do. And Brice Sensabaugh comes in, and for the season now, and I think these are updated real time. Let's just see what the percentage is. 38% for the season. That's 2 a game when he plays, and he's knocking them down. He is a knockdown shooter. So you're building off of a really nice basis there, and all you got to do now is build onto that. Build more. What else can you add? You know? Like, people are losing their minds over Grady Dick playing well for like 10 games. Congrats. He looked like absolute hot dog water for the entire season. Brice Sensabaugh, in his first time getting on the floor, is hitting those shots, knocking it down. Pretty cool stuff. Pretty nice to see. And, 12 rebounds is nothing to scoff at. I mean, he's 1 below John Collins. Are you kidding? Out-rebounding Samic. Out-rebounding Omer Yurtseven, although Yurtseven only played 15 minutes. Pretty nice to see. I mean, it's against the Bulls, but the Bulls are trying to win. And so, I don't know. I think really it's okay to be pretty excited about what we saw from Brice Sensabaugh. You don't just do this, okay? I mean, wouldn't Johnny Juzang give his left finger to like have numbers like that? Johnny Juzang's been playing for 2 years, a lot of time in the G League. He can't knock these down. And Brice Sensabaugh's, hitting those shots, and now pretty regularly, consistently. You know, he's only been playing how many consistent minutes with this team, but pretty impressive that he can do that. And he got the start tonight and looked okay. You know, you can see the rookie issues, you can see the rookie mistakes and things like that, but that's because he's a rookie. That's what rookies do. Nice stuff. Knocked down all 3 free throws. I was really impressed. In fact, let's just go look. Well, let's just go. Let's just see. I want to see.
To go out and try to be a part of a victory.
Pull up jump shot. 2-point field goal. Right here.
Ball wide open. Ball tapped out by Dunn. That's what he's been doing all year. Second chance opportunity. The Jazz fire.
See, that's nice. But the one I really like.
Sensabaugh from Sexton.
Both of these.
JC.
This one right here. This one was impressive. This is like game on the line. 3 minutes left. He took the ball all the way up. Big time shot. That's big buckets right there. That's big buckets. To knock that down, you don't just do that. Only, I mean, players play and hoopers hoop. And we got a hooper on our hands in Brice Sensabaugh. And what's exciting is that he defends, and so I'm pretty impressed with what we're seeing. Pretty exciting. He is showing that he can defend if he wants to. It really helps to be 6'5". It really does. So, awesome stuff, Brice Sensabaugh. Shout out to Brice Sensabaugh. That was fun to see. And this Jazz team really should have won this game. They just couldn't get a shot from, I guess, THT missing layups. John Collins couldn't hit a 3, and Jordan Clarkson just really struggled from the field. So, really interesting. All right, guys, I tell you what, the Jazz are now in the top 10. So, there's 2 schools of thought, and we know that I was team convey, but man, oh man, it certainly seems like the Jazz themselves are now team tank, and they are just going for it. And I tell you what, so this draft, and I've had people talk to me about this draft, there's some players I like. I don't know if there's anyone I like absolutely love. I know Reed Shepherd to the Jazz. I just don't think they should take Reed Shepherd because you want to give Keontae George the ball as much as you can, especially next season. There's a lot of people that seem to like Nikola Topic. I'm not a huge fan. I really like Cody Williams. I think Cody Williams fits everything you want in a player for the Jazz because he can defend like 4 positions, and I really like Cody Williams. I would take Cody Williams. It would be, if I was the number 1 pick, it's probably Sarr, but I would think long and hard about Cody Williams, especially with this draft where I don't think there's any like for sure like this guy is a star. I think the difference between a lot of these guys is not, this Tajon Salon, I'm not quite sure if I'm saying that right. I'm kind of wondering why he isn't top 5. Because he is 6'9" and he is shooting it at a nice clip. Go look at Tajon Salon. Go look at film. His NBA 3-point percentage is good, and I know this is saying defensive rating, but when you watch him, he's 6'9" long, and he does defend pretty decently. You can't teach 6'9" at the wing, Like I like this guy. Tajon Salon, like what is in the water in France, by the way? French guy playing for Cholet. That's the team that Rudy Gobert played for. Zachary Reisecker, also French. Alexander Sarr, also French. It's crazy. So the number 1 pick, if Sarr goes first, the last 2 seasons will be French. Isn't that crazy? What is French basketball? France is producing ballers. I really do like Sarr, and I think the Jazz love Sarr. I have no insider info on that, but man, he brings defense, and he can spread the floor. The thing that's crazy is Malawach in the next year's draft. Oh my gosh. Have you guys seen this kid? Malawach. Kaman Malawach. He is like 7'2". He is 17 years old. He is going to Duke next year and playing next to Cooper Flagg. That Duke team is going to be nuts. Duke and Rutgers. Holy smokes. When Duke plays Rutgers, Tune in. Mallow watch. Absolutely. Guys, I'm not kidding. Go watch. I shared it on Twitter. Go look up. First off, go figure out how to spell his name. I'm not even completely sure I'm saying it right. He's from Africa. They discovered him. He's got this incredible story. He is one of those kids, living in Africa where he has to walk 45 minutes to go play basketball. That's where the only basketball court / hoop is. So to play near his house, they're literally stacking tires to just shoot the ball, into a pile of tires or a tower of tires or something like that. There's a story about him on The Athletic. Go read it. It's fantastic. But the guy has not been playing for a long time. He is 7'2". He is super athletic, but he is physically filled out. He is, and he's shooting threes. The form looks nice. Kind of like how Embiid, just the exponential growth is crazy. He's the same thing. It's pretty wild how good he is. He's 17. He's been playing for 2 years since he picked up a basketball. His touch is, he honestly looks like he could go number 1 over Cooper Flagg, and I don't think anyone would be surprised. That's how crazy this next draft is. Malowatch, Cooper Flagg, Ace Bailey. You get in that bottom 3, you're getting a stud, a cornerstone guy. And I tell you what, with these players like Jokic and Wemby and Şengün and Embiid, the NBA's going big again, and having Kristaps Porzingis, all these big time centers that are skilled, shooting it, athletic. It is pretty tempting to go for a guy that's 7'2", ultra athletic, and might be more as physically dominant as Embiid when all is said and done. Holy smokes. KG10 to TH5, $2. Malowatch walked 45 minutes uphill both ways to watch. That's it's funny, but it's literally possibly true. Go, if you guys have a subscription to The Athletic, go look it up. In fact, let me pull it up here. Cam and Malowatch. Here, let me pull this over. We might get demonetized. He is insane in the membrane. He's 16 or 17 here, guys. Remember when we saw Wemby doing this stuff? Freaking crazy. Look at this. Just pulling up from 3. Look at this. Between the legs, pulling up, knocking it. Are you serious? At 7'2"? Come on. And he's playing with Duke, with Cooper Flagg. Are you serious? He's got nasty, too. Look at this defense. No. Oh, wait, that's him shooting it. But anyways, I'm impressed. There's a little Hakeem Olajuwon there, guys. There's a little bit of Hakeem. Pretty crazy stuff. So anyways, this draft, let's see here. Let's see. Pam Major, I'm pretty new to the NBA and Jazz. I'm confused. If we don't convey the pick, does that mean we won't have a good chance at drafting Flagg? Pam, good question. We definitely do. It just depends on what the Jazz want to do. We'll do this again because I know this is a common question. If the Jazz do, right now the Jazz are not conveying their pick to Oklahoma City because they're top 10. What that means, if the Jazz owe their pick to Oklahoma City, but it's protected 1 through 10. And since the Jazz are now in this bottom 10, they keep it. It's protected. They keep it. So that means that it goes to next year. The way they set this trade up, and that's part of the trade negotiations, is what happens when the pick doesn't convey. Well, that means it goes to 2025. And it's the same thing. It's protected 1 through 10. And so if the Jazz want Cam and Malowatch, they can definitely go get him. They just got to lose the games. If they want Cooper Flagg, if they want Ace Bailey, they've just got to lose the games, and that's fine. They don't lose their pick. The only way they lose their pick is if it's in the 11, if they're 11 or better. Does that make sense? In the draft order. So Atlanta they would have to be 11 or better, and that's when OKC would get the pick. The fact the Jazz are being so aggressive now, I think they're going to be crazy aggressive the next few years. I actually think, I don't know, I would be surprised if they're not tanking next year. I would be surprised. It just, every single move they've made has kind of led to that decision. But anyways, let's say the Jazz tank next year, and they're in that draft that I love. They're on Malawatch. They're playing capture the flag. They're trying to ace the draft by getting Ace Bailey, They will keep their pick, and then it goes to 2026, the following year. The reason I was team convey is because in 2026, so this year's draft, we don't have any picks from Cleveland or Minnesota. Next year in 2025, we do. The year after, they are pick swaps. So next year's draft, Cooper Flag and everything, we get actually 3 picks in the 2025 draft. How awesome is that? In an amazing draft, the Jazz get 3 picks. Freaking baller. But the following year, 2026, they have the same thing with the Oklahoma City pick, but the way the trade is set up, in 2026, it's only top 8 protected. Now, if they want to give the pick to the Thunder that year and they feel like they're better than bottom 8, then, so be it. But the problem with that is if the Jazz give their pick to Oklahoma City in 2026, let's say the Jazz fall or like number 14, and then the Thunder get their pick because it's top 8 protected in 2026. Remember, 2024, top 10 protected. 2025, top 10 protected. 2026, top 8 protected. Those 2 pick swaps, the Jazz only get 1 of that, by the way. So they get the best pick between them, Cleveland, and Minnesota in that pick swap. But if they're giving their pick to Oklahoma City in 2026, they lose the pick swap. So they get nothing in 2026. You get nothing. Now, maybe if the Jazz get their star next year and, you get Cooper Flag and he's absolutely incredible, like how Wemby is impacting games and Keontae George takes another step and Taylor Hendricks is knocking down threes at 45% and stuff like that, then whoever you draft in this year's draft, maybe the Jazz get lucky and they get Alexander Sarr and the Jazz are just kind of awesome in 2026, then maybe you don't care. But it's certainly, and by the way, that's 2 years from now. That would certainly be pretty terrible if Donovan Mitchell goes to Miami or New York or LA like he's going to, and Cleveland drops to like bottom 5 and you don't get that pick, right? Like, how brutal would that be is if the Jazz don't get that pick when it's like a top 5 pick. And by the way, the reason that's scary to me, how did Danny Ainge get Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown? He didn't get them with Boston picks. He got them with Brooklyn Nets picks. If you remember that famous trade, Jason Tatum and the Boston Celtics got the number 1 pick. Remember? They traded back to number 3 because Lonzo Ball went 2 and what's his name that's now in Orlando went number 1, and they picked Jason Tatum with the Brooklyn Nets pick. How brutal would that be? That's why I worry, Pam. That's why I'm worried. That is why I'm team convey. But it's looking less and less likely. The Jazz look like they're just going to lose games. And you know what? I think they can be bottom 8 in 3 years if they just go full youth. But if Larry Markkanen's on that team, Keontae George is taking a step, Taylor Hendricks is figuring things out, Alexander Sarr, or maybe they get lucky and they get Cody Williams and he's awesome, then you know what? Who knows? I really like this Tejan Salon guy. And he may not be anything. He may not turn into anything. But man, does he have potential. Just being 6'9" and long and knocking down threes makes you interesting, So anyways, that I think is the show tonight, guys. Let's first, we're back to it. If the draft were today, the Jazz get their pick, unless they get leapfrogged. Wouldn't that be funny if they get to like 9 and 2 teams left of them? Anyways, If the draft were today, what would happen? Let's see. All right, Utah stays at 10. Charlotte gets the number 1 pick. Portland goes up to number 4. And Washington, the worst team in the NBA now, gets the number 3 pick. Brutal. All right, let's see. This has the Jazz getting Reed Shepherd, but I also like Stephon Castle next to Keontae George. I like his size, 6'6". He's got a good body, good athleticism. He rebounds the ball. Look at that, 5.8 rebounds for a guard. He's big. So, interesting stuff. There's some guys, you know who I actually really think is interesting? Kyle Filipowski. He was going to go relatively high last season. He stays at Duke. He's knocking down threes. He's 7 feet tall. Look at that, 3.4 assists, 1.9 blocks, 1.2 steals. Kind of balling. I think he's kind of an interesting guy to watch. Because he might be the type of guy the Jazz want long term. You know? Interesting guy to watch. I don't know how Isaiah Collier has gone to 16, but he's pretty interesting. At one point, they had him number 1 on this board. But they have him at 16 now. There's a value play. Except I don't want anyone getting in the way of Keontae George. So, I don't know. Ron Holland seems to still be holding strong at that small forward spot. 6'8". I don't know. By the way, the G League Ignite is kind of dying. All right, let's give a shout out to All-Stars tonight. The Tim Protector, Tim Robach. Actually, Tim, I think you came back. Now that I think about it, I think you were here a while ago and you came back. So welcome, Tim. The Tim Protector Robach. Nathan Butnett Burkhart. Dirty Jazz Car Wash Channel. Fly Eagles Fly, Platinum Eagles. The Real Deal, Lars Jarvin and Ryan Perry, the legend. Just Buckets JB, Baby Elliott Matson, Christian House Money to Haas. The Outlaw, Jesse James Nelson, Ezekiel Raicibe, the man from down under. See ya, Lexa Later, Built Ford, Tough Alexander Tufts, Jorge Arrizaga, mi amigo de abajo, Jordan the Goat, Best Roll, TGD, Total Game Domination, Tyson Price, The Price is Right, Austin R. Grant, Editor Extraordinaire, KG10 to TH5, Patrick Kubo, the Connoisseur, and Robert Hall of Fame. Guys, if you're a Jazz fan and you haven't liked and subscribed to the channel, what are you doing? Do it right this moment. Tell your friends. Share it on social media. And go to PrizePicks and use promo code HoopsNerd. Guys, I will talk to you next time.